Welcome to History with Herodotus, where we delve into the most fascinating tales of human civilization. Today, we embark on a journey through the tumultuous landscape of ancient China to explore one of the most pivotal and intriguing episodes in Chinese history, the An Lushan Rebellion. A cataclysmic event that shook the foundations of the Tang Dynasty from 755 to 763. In the early 8th century, the Tang Empire was at the zenith of its power, a beacon of culture, philosophy, and military prowess that had captivated the imagination of the ancient world. The Silk Road, that fabled network of trade routes, pulsed with life as merchants, monks, and diplomats traversed the vast expanse of Asia, exchanging not only goods but also ideas and innovations. At the heart of this magnificent empire was the capital city of Chang'an, a metropolis of breathtaking beauty, where scholars, poets, and artists congregated to share their works and engage in lively debates. The imperial court, under the wise and just Emperor Xuanzong, was renowned for its splendor, with lavish ceremonies, elaborate feasts, and exquisite music that echoed through the palace halls. However, beneath the surface of this dazzling spectacle, subtle yet insidious currents were stirring. Regional military governors, known as jiadushi, had begun to accumulate immense power and wealth, often at the expense of the central authority. These warlords, with their private armies and extensive territories, posed a significant threat to the imperial throne as they subtly subverted the emperor's control and exploited this system for their own gain. One such figure was An Lushan, a brilliant and ambitious military leader of Sogdian and Turkic descent, who had risen through the ranks with astonishing speed. Born in the distant borderlands of the empire, An Lushan had proven himself to be a skilled tactician and a charismatic commander, earning the admiration of his troops and the attention of the imperial court. As we navigate the complex web of alliances and rivalries that defined the Tang Empire's inner workings, we find An Lushan at the center of a maelstrom of intrigue. His ascent to power was facilitated by the patronage of the influential eunuch, Gao Lishi, who had become the emperor's trusted advisor. This unlikely alliance would ultimately prove disastrous for the Tang dynasty, as An Lushan's insatiable ambition and lust for power began to destabilize the delicate balance of the imperial system. The seeds of rebellion had been sown, and An Lushan, with his formidable military prowess and his mastery of the intricate web of court politics, was poised to unleash a storm that would shake the very foundations of Chinese civilization. The fate of China hangs in the balance, as the ambitions of a single individual, An Lushan, threatened to upend the established order and plunge the empire into darkness. As the seeds of rebellion had been sown, An Lushan's insatiable ambition and lust for power began to manifest in a series of bold and calculated moves. In 755, he was appointed as the military governor of Pinglu, a strategic region that controlled the vital trade routes between China and Central Asia. This appointment granted him unparalleled access to resources, manpower, and intelligence, which he would soon leverage to launch a devastating assault on the Tang Empire. On December 16, 755, An Lushan declared himself emperor of the new Yan dynasty, marking the beginning of the rebellion that would bear his name. His armies, bolstered by contingents of Turkic and Sogdian warriors, swept across the northern provinces, leaving a trail of destruction and chaos in their wake. The Tang Empire's defenses were quickly breached, and key cities such as Luoyang and Taiyuan fell to the rebels. As the rebellion gained momentum, An Lushan's forces began to push deeper into the heart of China, threatening the very existence of the Tang dynasty. In 756, Emperor Xuanzong was forced to abandon his capital, Chang'an, and flee to the safety of Sichuan province. The once magnificent city was left to the mercy of An Lushan's soldiers, who pillaged and plundered its treasures with reckless abandon. One of the most striking aspects of the rebellion was the role played by the eunuchs, who had long been a powerful force within the imperial court. Gao Lishi, the eunuch who had initially sponsored An Lushan's rise to power, now found himself at odds with the rebel leader. As An Lushan's ambitions grew, he began to see the eunuchs as a threat to his authority, and he systematically eliminated them from positions of power. The Tang Empire's response to the rebellion was marked by confusion and disarray. Emperor Xuanzong's son Suzong, would eventually succeed him and launch a series of counterattacks against An Lushan's forces. However, these efforts were hindered by internal divisions and a lack of effective leadership. As the rebellion raged on, the Tang Empire's military might was slowly being eroded, leaving it vulnerable to further attacks from external enemies. In 757, An Lushan's son, led a daring raid on the city of Yangzhou, which had become a key stronghold for the Tang loyalists. The city was captured, and its inhabitants were subjected to brutal treatment, with thousands being slaughtered or sold into slavery. This atrocity would become one of the most infamous episodes of the rebellion, and it would leave a lasting scar on the collective memory of the Chinese people. As the years passed, the conflict showed no signs of abating, and Lushan's armies continued to push deeper into China, while the Tang Empire struggled to maintain its grip on power. The war had become a protracted and bloody stalemate, with both sides suffering heavy losses. The people of China were caught in the middle, forced to endure the hardships of war and the brutality of an increasingly unstable world. In 759, An Lushan's forces launched a major assault on the city of Suzhou, which had become a key hub for the Tang Empire's resistance efforts. The city was besieged for months, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. Eventually, the defenders were forced to surrender, and the city was overrun by An Lushan's soldiers. As the rebellion entered its 5th year, it seemed that An Lushan's victory was all but assured. The Tang Empire was on the brink of collapse, and its leaders were struggling to maintain their grip on power. However, despite the seemingly insurmountable odds, the Tang loyalists refused to give up. They continued to fight on, fueled by a determination to restore the empire to its former glory and to bring an end to the chaos and bloodshed that had ravaged China for so long. As the rebellion entered its final years, An Lushan's forces began to weaken, and the Tang Empire saw an opportunity to strike back. In 762, the Tang loyalists launched a series of successful counterattacks, recapturing key cities such as Luoyang and Taiyuan. The tide of the war had finally turned in favor of the Tang Empire, and An Lushan's armies were slowly being pushed back. In 763, the Tang Empire's fortunes were further boosted by the death of An Lushan, who was assassinated by one of his own generals. Without their charismatic leader, the rebel forces quickly disintegrated, and the Tang Empire was able to reassert its control over China. The rebellion had lasted for 8 long years, leaving deep scars on the Chinese people and the empire as a whole. As the dust settled, the Tang Empire began to rebuild and recover from the devastation of the rebellion. Emperor Daizong, who had succeeded Suzong in 762, implemented a series of reforms aimed at strengthening the empire's military and administrative structures. The empire also began to promote education and culture, seeking to revive the intellectual and artistic traditions that had been disrupted by the war. Despite its ultimate defeat, the An Lushan Rebellion had a lasting impact on Chinese history. As the historian Wang Fuji would later write, the rebellion of An Lushan was like a great storm that shook the foundations of the empire, but it also cleared the way for a new era of growth and renewal. The rebellion marked the beginning of the end of the Tang Empire's golden age, but it also paved the way for the rise of new regional powers and the eventual emergence of the Song Dynasty. Today, the An Lushan Rebellion is remembered as one of the most significant events in Chinese history, a testament to the enduring power of rebellion and the cyclical nature of imperial rise and fall. The legacy of the An Lushan Rebellion can still be seen in the modern Chinese landscape, from the rebuilt cities and temples that dot the countryside to the enduring cultural traditions that continue to shape Chinese identity. As the Chinese historian Sima Guang once noted, the past is a mirror that reflects the present, and the present is a mirror that reflects the future. The An Lushan Rebellion may be a distant memory, but its impact continues to reverberate through the ages. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that, to understand the present, we must first understand the past.